Today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is good for 175. We're hovering right around the highs of the day, just a little bit off of that. We are off the fourth negative session in 5, though, for stocks. Michael Farr, I thought it's interesting. You think the market appears to be a little tired. Does that mean it's just a rest period before we wake up and carry on?
Kind of, Scott. I mean, so we're up 17% year to date. It's been a fabulous year. Earnings have kept up. Investors have done very well. Sentiment, though, is still bleh. When you talk to investors, they're like, well, I don't like stocks right now. And when I hear that, it's kind of music to my ears. So I think, we've gone up a lot. I think there's still more to go. But it really is a stock picker's market. It's a time when you really need to know what you own and choose your stocks very selectively. And I think there are still names out there that you can buy, Scott. I've even thrown some out on the website today for the halftime report that we can talk about.
We will do that in a moment. Nice tease. I appreciate that. So, Josh Brown, right? Scott Minerd was with us last week. There's a lot of noise out in the marketplace right now. You asked him a question. I mean, I know you remember the conversation we had. He's looking for a 10 to 15% correction. Then you have UBS and Oppenheimer raising their outlooks for the S&P 500 just this week. Where are we? Like, what is this period that we are in right now? Carl said it at the end of the prior program. We're only 20-some-odd points away from another high on the S&P, and suddenly it feels like sentiment has gotten dour again.
So what's really interesting here is that sentiment has gotten dour because I think consumers are registering their unhappiness with paying higher prices for everything in their real lives. The good news is that's not going to be a permanent situation. The bad news is I do believe it's showing up in enthusiasm for the overall market and for even like look at the latest poll numbers on Biden. He's dropping like a rock. And the main thing people are citing is obviously the Delta variant and the economy and high prices. So he's now 43% of respondents disapprove in a Harvard Caps Harris poll survey. So like people are not feeling as good as they were a month ago. I do think this spring there was a sense of euphoria. As the vaccine numbers were ramping up, the virus was disappearing. It seemed very obvious that the reopening was on. And now things seem to be a little bit more murky, which maybe has led to a drop in small caps, a drop in industrials. The whole reopen trade kind of looks like it's falling apart a little bit. Take a look at some of the housing plays. Zillow looks terrible. Open Door looks worse. So I think there's some element of that in the market. I don't necessarily think it's the end of the world, though. And if we're going to have a seasonally weak period here, seasonally it would make sense. So I think we're kind of in a no man's land. There's not really a big, bold, defined trend going forward. But let's all not forget, July was a great month for the stock market. Mm-hmm. Maybe not most stocks, but we still went up 2.5%. We're up 18% year to date, as Michael Farr mentioned, on a total return basis. Earnings will probably be up 40% in the year 2021. We've actually had multiple contraction of about 10% this year, which means it's not like we're overpaying for this earnings growth. And I still think we could rally into year end, even if we have to take a little bit of a pause this summer, because on balance, as prices come back down in some of these things we've been worrying about and the virus gets more under control, I do think people will come back to the stock market.
All right. So, Steph, where does this leave us, right? We know August is historically weak. Delta variant is spreading out of control in many places in this country. There are now discussions that herd immunity is not going to be reached until you get maybe close to 90%, which means a lot more infection and a lot more vaccinations needed to reach that. It's going to be painful. We know that. Rates are going down almost by the day. Now, they get a little bit of a bounce off the bottom today. I literally just checked as Josh was talking. I think it's 117 is where we currently sit on the 10-year. And then I got this reopen trade that Josh referenced. I mean, it's ugly over the last month. Carnival Cruise down 19%, Royal Carib 15, Norwegian 21, MGM 15, Wynn 23, Sands 25, Josh's Live Nation 12. Is that trade in trouble?
Well, it hasn't been fun. I own a whole bunch of them myself. As Michael and Josh mentioned, this is seasonally a slow period, August and even into September. And we have to watch Delta, and we have to watch mask mandates. That's the worry part of the market right now. Market always worries about something, Scott. I worry about that too, by the way, those items. But I will say the economy continues to be solid, right? The ISM new order number, that's a leading economic indicator for earnings and CapEx. It's been above 60 for 13 straight months. The factory orders today, better than expected. Even in GDP, I know the headline number was not that great, but personal consumption up 12%, final sales up 7.7%, business spending up 9%. That does not tell me that the economy, or rates are telling me that the economy is going to go into a recession next year. It's telling us that things are slowing. It's telling us that things are slowing, but they will be above trend. And oh, by the way, this leads me into earnings. Earnings. 85% of the companies have beat. They're beating by 18%. It's broad-based. Guidance is good. I've had a number of companies that I own that raise dividends, so happy about that as well. So, and then you have an accommodated Fed. I don't think that they're going to do anything at Jackson Hole. They may not do anything until the end of the year in terms of taper talk. You've got another infrastructure fiscal coming, right? So you have tons of stimulus in the system. So yes, the reopened stocks have taken it on the chin. They're the ones, though, that are going to bounce hard once we can get control and more understanding over Delta variants.
Yeah, I feel like